How are you?
President, the honor.
Good to see you.
Very
How you
honored to
been?
meet you.
Thank you so
I
much.
say welcome to Ohio, but given the fact that you've been here 8 times this year, 3 times in the last month, if
This is
you
my
were,
home away from home.
if you were at my house, you'd fall into the you're no longer a guest, get it yourself category. So, is there any truth to the rumor you're doing this to establish residency so you can vote here in November?
I tell you, I probably don't need to vote in Chicago as much as I do in Ohio, but I'm not going to take advantage of those loopholes. I'm going to try to make sure to win it straight.
This state really is not only the line in the sand, the line carved in stone. If you lose this state, there are other ways for you to get to 270 electoral votes. But if you win this state,
Right.
history has said ball game. Is there any state that is more important than Ohio right now?
You know, I think Ohio is one of a handful, maybe even 2 or 3 states, where, as you said, if we win here, we're likely to win. And I think what's important is, though, also Ohio's values and what's at stake for Ohio is representative of what's happening across the country. Ohio got hit harder than just about any state when it comes to manufacturing being shipped overseas. Ohio got hit very hard by the recession. Now you're seeing Ohio begin to bounce back, in part because of the decisions we made to save the auto industry, to invest in new advanced manufacturing in areas like clean energy. We've got a long way to go. A lot of folks are still out of work, but what we've shown here in Ohio is that we still have the best workers in the world, innovative companies who want to invest here, and what we have to do is create the kind of atmosphere in terms of making sure we've got a well-educated workforce, great transportation systems, and a tax code that rewards companies that invest here in Ohio. If we do that, then not only is it going to be good for Ohio, but it's a good example for the country as a whole.
How would Mitt Romney, how would Rob Portman, as a potential Mitt Romney running mate, impact this race?
You know, it's hard to say. I mean, traditionally, the pundits at least say that the top of the ticket's what matters. When I chose Joe Biden, it was because I was confident he could be president, and I think that any nominee should be thinking about not so much the politics of it, but thinking about, could the person you're selecting carry out their constitutional duties if, heaven forbid, something happened to the president.
A third of the people that will vote in this state, in this race, live in the Cleveland television market. What they are seeing play out right now on television is this battle over Bain. Harsh words coming from both sides. Mitt Romney has said of your actions, he called them disgusting, demeaning, deceptive, dishonest. Chicago-style politics at its worst, beneath the office. He wants an apology. Here's the chance.
Well, I think I've already said we're not apologizing for asking Mr. Romney to tell the American people more about his business credentials, because this is his main rationale for running for president. He says he's a business guy, and he suggests that he can somehow fix the economy because of that. And all we've asked is, if in fact you've got a company who invested in what are called pioneers of offshoring, and you take credit for any companies that were successful that you invested in, then presumably you've got to take responsibility for practices that hurt a lot of Americans, and that I think most Ohioans agree has not been ideal for our economy. That is hardly a personal attack. That goes to the rationale for his candidacy. And when he says that he was the CEO, chairman, and president of this company, which is his calling card, I think it's entirely appropriate for us to say, well, then you got to be responsible for it, because you know what? When I'm president, I'm responsible for a whole bunch of stuff that is done, and that's the nature of the game. As Harry Truman says, the buck stops with you.
If his name was on the SEC filings, yet he says he was not in charge, I mean, does that elevate to a felony? Should the Justice Department be looking at this?
You know, I think that the issue here is simply for Mr. Romney to talk about his business background in a way that jibes with the facts and is clear. And that's what's expected of any presidential candidate. When I ran for office, people asked me a whole bunch of questions about all kinds of issues. We released my tax returns. Everybody knew everything about me because of the importance of this office. But it goes beyond just the details of Mr. Romney's stay at Bain's. It also goes to your basic economic philosophy. Mr. Romney believes that you grow the economy from the top down, that if wealthy investors are doing well, then everybody else does well. And that's why his main economic proposal is an additional $5 trillion in tax cuts, most of which go to folks like me who don't need them and weren't asking for them. And I've got a different view, and it's reflective of my experience that when the middle class is strong, when working families, when construction workers and teachers and firefighters and small business people are doing well, then everybody does well. So this is going to be a debate about our economic future and how we grow the middle class. These issues surrounding Bain are just one part of a broader set of questions that I think both of us are going to have to answer.